How's it going, Terrence?
Do you want to talk? Well, let's pick up the stuff to do with this K equals 100 because there's a meeting tomorrow, isn't there? We can discuss it in detail tomorrow. But I think I can see a way to make this valuable, really valuable, as at least a questionnaire. Because finding people's sentiment and their desire to change and all the rest of it is so hard. Let's see if we can get something we all agree on.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin's stuck out there. He's got a hand raised. Why have you got a hand raised, Kevin? You're not even in here.
Yeah, that's what is confusing. Oh,
He's coming in and has his hand raised straight away.
Thank you. Yeah, I was stuck in limbo, so I could hear what you were saying, but I couldn't participate.
Yeah.
This is the new Intersect.
Well, it's the new. Welcome to the new networking.
Yeah, I can't seem to set my background either. Yeah, maybe. Great. I will quickly go and grab the agenda, unless Bosco, you or Tex would like to put it up.
I will share it.
Great, thank you.
Just a second.
Yeah, we'll allow a few minutes for any latecomers to join us. So there are 6 voting members present at the moment by my calculation. As usual, does anyone have any additional items to add to the agenda, any that need to be prioritized?
You should scroll it down slightly, Bosco, so they can see the bottom. If there's anything else, yeah, because the AOB is at the end there. Okay. Looks pretty full to me, Kevin.
Yeah, so we may have to prune some of the agenda or keep some items as information only. And what we suggest, Bosco, is when we're going through the actions, let's just focus on things that we need to cover. We don't need to go through every single action if they're covered in the agenda.
Yeah, I got that information Slack, so we can start immediately. Okay. Christian coordinate with Kevin via Slack. This one.
Sorry, do you mind if I just start the meeting officially? So, welcome to the Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 1st of July 2026. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 voting TSC members present by my calculation. So we are quorate. And for the benefit of those who are just joining us, we've requested any additions to the agenda or any prioritization of existing agenda items. But without more ado, let me hand over to you, Bosco, to go through the actions.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Already there. So Christian coordinate with Kevin via Slack to lock in recurring weekly. That's done. Not done. Christian, if you're there. If not, skipping.
We met Bosco. We haven't locked in a specific weekly meeting yet.
Okay.
Sorry, my audio. I'll just lock in the same time weekly with you, Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll deal with that.
Okay. Complete the comparative study isolating high-value quantum readiness frameworks across these different items. So that was done. because it was by the end of the week, previous week probably. Christian, if you're on mute, we can skip it.
Yeah, that's not gonna be done until next week fully.
Okay.
It's in progress right now.
Thanks, Ryan. This is, I think, on the parameters on the agenda, right?
Yep.
Okay, Kevin, complete the outline. Budget is also on agenda. Cardano over coffee, that's also within the budget topic, I think, and slide X that's already shared, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's on the agenda.
Yes,
The-
yes.
The
Okay.
penultimate item was referring to the quarterly review. I think Bosco's thing was misrecorded, and we're going to cover that anyway.
Okay. We can switch off to the agenda anyway for the next one. So second file status update, I intentionally removed the explanation from it. So
Right.
this is on you.
Yeah, so I had shared with the TSC members the latest update from Emergo. So if you could pop that into the chat so anyone can link to that, Bosco, that would be great.
Sorry, just to ask, is that confidential or not?
No,
Because
no,
this call is being
It's a
recorded.
it's a tweet.
Aha, it's a tweet. So can somebody find it, please? I don't have it right now. To be shared in the chat. Or keep talking, I will find it.
So a situation, as many people will be aware, is that there was an exploit last week. We discussed it during the meeting. This affects Emergo's SecondFi wallet, and it affects people who have signed transactions using the SecondFi wallet. There's a good piece of advice which we're linking from the chat, which summarizes the situation from Emergo's perspective, lays out their plans for their recovery process, and gives users further information. So we refer anyone who's concerned to that. The issue can affect keys that are generated in other wallets. So it's the signing which is important, not the key generation. So if someone has generated a key in another wallet and then used it in SecondFi, then they are potentially, for any signing purpose, then they are potentially vulnerable. Emergo have shut down SecondFi temporarily whilst they fix the issue. If you have used a hardware wallet, then you are not vulnerable to this particular exploit. So the advice we would give is to use a hardware wallet to protect your keys. If you have used a hardware wallet, you should be secure. If you are vulnerable and you do opt to recover your keys to another wallet, follow the advice that Emergo is going to distribute tomorrow. Do not issue any transactions from within SecondFi until it is fixed. They've closed it down, so it shouldn't be possible to do that. But follow their instructions, please. And if you have any doubts, wait for their official process for recovering your funds. So for anyone who has knowledge or expertise, they should be able to unlock their funds, or at least check that their funds are not compromised. And there is tooling available from Philip Desaro, which allows you to check and transfer funds if you wish. We can't condone that. We haven't verified it. But that may be a way to transfer funds prior to the Emergo wallet prior to SecondFi issuing their official process. Okay, so take care. Be aware that there are a lot of scammers out there. If you have any doubts, follow the Emergo advice. The Security Council is interacting directly with Emergo on the issue. So the Security Council has been collaborating with Emergo. The council has undertaken a forensic analysis of those who are at risk, and we are cooperating with Emergo on that and on any communications. And I'd like to particularly thank Ryan, Neil, and Leandros for their assistance last week when we were trying to understand the issue. It is a very complicated issue. It is a very serious one. It will take time to resolve. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, Van Rossum hard fork status. So Ryan, are you familiar with the exact status?
Yep, I can go over it. So we had a meeting yesterday. All ratification readiness metrics are met, with exchanges being the latest one to cross over the line. They reached the 80% threshold, so that's good. Based on the metrics, we held a vote to decide on whether we should recommend the action to proceed. And out of 17 participants, there were a majority voted in favor, so that succeeded. Big thing now is getting the governance vote to pass. DREP's ratification support, I haven't looked today, but it was at 65% yesterday. SPO's at 36%, and only 1 out of 5 CC. So the big push is going to be for getting SPOs and CC to vote on the ratification. SPOs especially, because the auto abstain mechanism for SPOs does not apply to hard forks. So we need to make sure that that is well understood, and SPOs are voting on the governance action. I think that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say nobody voted against the recommendation, Ryan, and I think the action on ours is to disseminate that. So we now have a positive thing to disseminate. It's symbolic rather than practical, but endorsing the ratification gives people confidence that we're able to proceed with the hard fork, and we're in good time in terms of the enactment. The status that we're currently at, we're still having to deal with a number of SPOs who have not voted so far. We were roughly at 35% who had voted. We need 51% to vote, and they can't auto abstain. Counts as a no vote for the hard fork, so they do have to actively participate. So we need to emphasize that in any communication. But all looking great. Any questions?
Just a comment. Do we want to? As the TSC, do we wish to basically formally record we support all of this? Right? I.e., I'm just saying, as this, we're the sort of parent body for this. So I'm just trying to be parent-like, and we should basically, as you say, with that we should ask Intersect to start saying, look, the SPOs have to vote, right? If and this is really because the reason being, they're talking about their readiness here.
Absolutely. So I don't think we need to take a formal vote on that. But does anyone have any objections to us doing that? Raise your hand if you have an objection or questions.
Good.
No objection, just that SPOs, I think, are over the 51% threshold now.
When I checked this morning, Christian, they weren't. What we have found is different governance tools calculate the percentage differently. So some of them are accurate and some of them aren't.
Gotcha.
SPOs are at 39.9% according to Atastat, which I believe is accurate.
Okay. Yeah, CX Explorer's off them.
Yep. So we're uncovering, I think every single Explorer I've looked at gives a different number. So one of the things that the hard fork working group is working on is determining an exact number, a correct number, which can be forwarded. Great. So if you're comfortable with that, let's move forward to the next item on the agenda. So following on from that, I've suggested we should be starting to think about the Dijkstra hard fork, starting to planning there. this needs to be started pretty soon. There's a build up of work, build up of expectations for this. The community may be disappointed if we don't get the work underway pretty quickly. What I would propose is the product committee has reached out to me about this. I propose that we progress this jointly with the product committee, so we're taking their perspective into account. I would propose that we continue the hard fork working group. So we should do this in a public forum, probably in a smaller form and less frequent, Bosco. But we need to do this soon. So perhaps so the question is, do we do it before the hard fork itself, or do we start to kick things off now? Do we start?
We can think offline about who should be on that call, so we can have it separately from the current hard fork working group calls. So it can be a hard fork working group, but dedicated to Dijkstra, so we don't bloat the other meetings with it.
Yeah, you're asking about timeline, Kristen. That's one of the things we have to unpick. The timeline is realistically no less than 6 months, and that's partly because there will need to be constitutional changes, guardrails will need to be checked, new parameter settings will need to be checked. So even if we had an implementation ready today, it would be impractical for there to be a hard fork in 2026.
Okay. No, I was just worried about pushing exchanges to do 2 hard forks back to back in the same year. That was my concern.
One of the things that I think we agreed was that we should not be setting a less than 6 month timescale for hard forks, only in normal situations. In emergency, you might do that. But given the amount of scope that's going to be included in this one, there's going to be a lot of testing. There'll need to be test nets set up, very thorough testing, a lot of performance evaluation. We started to discuss that. This is going to be a big tranche of work that has to be done.
Yeah.
So this
Completely
is,
understand.
and Rossum was easy. Okay, you may not believe it, but that was easy.
Yeah, well, I imagine Druska is the whole Laos implementation, basically.
And
Maybe.
not just Laos, it may also include Paras, and it may include nested transactions and other things that introduce new protocol parameters.
Is this next one what we're going to call Cardano V2 officially, or?
It's not V2. We'll leave it, but that's for the marketing people.
Well,
That's not a technical concern. Right, you were laughing.
I said it's version 12. Version 11 is happening right now, and then version 12 will be the next one.
Yeah.
Passed V2 a while ago.
Protocol version 12, Christian.
Gotcha.
Great. So watch this space. Happy to involve any members of the technical steering committee in that, particularly if you haven't already been involved so far. So conscious that Ryan has been putting a lot of time into this, Alex likewise, but very much appreciate everyone's input into the Dijkstra hard fork. If you can participate, that would be great. Parameter committee, Alex, what's the state of play?
Sorry, chewing my lunch. Please never call V2 Cardano or Cardano V2 with the next hard fork. Some engineers understand V2 as possibly backwards breaking changes being implemented. We don't want to imply that. Parameter committee. Tomorrow is the next tri-weekly. There is only one single item on the agenda at the moment, which is still the change of K. We are still collecting inputs in the document and have now, I think the last time, agreed that we won't recommend a clear yes or no, but we are aiming at listing all the arguments that we could find for and against, so that our document, our recommendation document, becomes an expert input perspective documentation instead of a clear yes or no. The amount of arguments for and against and the quality of those will obviously imply a certain recommendation. But from what I gathered at the moment, left and right off in chats, it feels as if this is a decision, but we're going to confirm that decision tomorrow again. I haven't been in the last parameter committee meeting, only read the transcript. So I don't know, but as far as I'm concerned, this is the current plan.
Just to add a bit to that, Ryan has nicely produced a initial set of questions. I commented on them yesterday. I think we can come to a position where we have a document with a set of questions that explore both sentiment, explore the space, and those questions asked in such a way that they give us an answer, as opposed to, it's, you know, whenever you write a questionnaire, you have to write it carefully so that you can interpret the results you get back. That's always the problem with this. I'm not have arguments about the interpretation. So that's where we're at this point. Okay.
Maybe one more comment on that. I've now received 3 or 4 messages regarding how people should change, or how people should go about proposing parameter changes. We've had the discussion a few months ago regarding the transaction fee. They wanted to, or somebody wanted to change that. Now it came back with min UTXO changes. This becomes very relevant considering that we have now UTXOs on the disk instead of in RAM. So the cost of storing UTXOs has significantly decreased. We could reflect that on chain. I'm telling everybody to please formally write a PCP in the forum and submit that there. This is currently the process. So if anybody of you encounters any conversations with people that want to change parameters, please direct them to the PCP in the forum. It's like really the cleanest process, and we can, the parameter committee, sort those requests and then go about writing the recommendation based on the inputs that we get.
Yeah, so we can promote this, Alex, obviously via the Twitter channel, the TSC Twitter channel, but maybe we also want to promote it via the blog by the Intersect blog, Bosco, or one of the technical updates.
Yeah, I should also mention that there was a SIP that appeared in like the last week or two where somebody tried to change a parameter via SIP, which is not the, I mean, I guess that was the old way of doing things, but now that we have governance, there's a better way.
Well, the SIP is a great way to create the discussion over the change. I mean, the question always was whether the SIP process was really the right way to change a parameter, as opposed to changing the process or the ledger or something like that. Okay, so yeah, but
I would even argue that for a parameter that changes, a CPS would be a good start. Instead, when somebody doesn't like the PCP, but the CIP is good for new parameters. That's somewhat my hunch of how these two should be sorted.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, do you want to clarify that as well in the communication, Alex? Would that help?
Yes, Bosco, could you?
If you say that a CIP is about changing the protocol, either in some way, right? CPS is about stating a problem, and the PCPs are about modifying the existing parameters, or right? In general, we don't.
Yep.
The PCP doesn't create new ones.
The bare minimum requirement for governance is to just submit an on-chain governance action, but constitutionally it requires some form of socialization, which is what the PCP process could check the box of. And so I think that is still the best way of meeting the minimum requirement. But in theory, you could do it via SIP. I guess, but I just don't know if that's the SIP process is the right place for discussing just a parameter change.
I would suggest that I would suggest that we suggest to the people who edit the SIPs that they reject such SIPs and point them at the PCP.
I don't think they're going to complain at that, Neil. It reduces their workload. Yeah, can we make a note to do that, Bosco? We can pass it on to Robert or to Ryan Williams. Great. Shall we move on?
Did we want to mention committee min size? Or did I miss that?
Committee min size is worth mentioning.
Yeah.
So this has been put out on chain a few weeks ago. It was, when I checked, it had 43.6% vote in favour. This particular parameter is a governance parameter, so it needs a 75% vote in favour if it's going to pass. The action's going to expire on July the 8th, so you've basically got a week for this to pass. It looks like a very high hurdle, and the question is, do we want to do more promotion of this?
It's also worth mentioning that many of the biggest DREPs haven't voted yet. So Emergo Yoroi, which I don't know if they're busy with the second FI situation or if they're just waiting till the end. And then there's a couple other big ones that are maybe worth reaching out to. I think with only a handful of those big ones voted, that would get us to 75%. There's been very little votes against. So it's just mostly people that haven't voted yet.
If you look on the EIDAStat, it's on the second page. You cannot even find it easily.
There's been a lot of other governance actions
Yeah,
that have gone in.
exactly.
So let's do a bit of promotion on that, along with the Civics Committee. I was hoping the Civics Committee was going to do a lot of promotion, since it's really their proposal. But we can draw attention to it and encourage voting. But the deadline is getting close, and at this point in time, it's definitely not passing. Okay, so moving on, budget status. The TSC budget is live on chain, expires July the 23rd, so there's a bit of time to get votes together for this. When I checked, it was running at about just over 11% support. Again, I don't think there's much negative, many no votes. We need to analyse that. But it's one of many proposals, as you're saying, Ryan, that are on chain. So we actively need to progress this. I did have an action to prepare a communication plan. I've been pretty well heads down with the second FI situation and some other urgent things. So I'll still continue with that action. The obvious things to do are to tweet about it. I think we have done that, but more promotion is always good. We should all tweet out about it if we're in support of it, and give people reasons to vote for it. I will, with Christian, set up a Cardano over coffee session and invite people to come and chat to us to discuss the proposal. Are there any other obvious things that we should be doing? Yuda, I think you raised this at the end of the last call.
Yeah, so I was suggesting a combination, right? So one is Cardano over coffee is good platform, as you know already, and you planning. Other one, someone mentioned that Intersect possibly will be, there's some joint Intersect driven kind of spaces, and we can probably do more specific our own initiative on TSC point of view. So I think it should be combination, and let's set up now for maybe a bit far out date, maybe next week sometime for TSC one anyway, kind of the things. And even small people join, at least we are there, and sometime what happened, that recording is there, so people come later on at their own time and they see it as well. So I think we have very little time, so we need to do all what we can do. So not any other specific thing other than Cardano over coffee, but I think I'm suggesting one more of TSC ourselves in setup initiative.
Yeah, and for the benefit of anyone watching this call, the primary focus of the TSC proposal is on enabling the community to participate actively in technical activities. So it's things like supporting the CIF editors, supporting the parameter committee, enabling technical experts to attend critical events. These are fundamental things that we need to do to create a strong technical presence in the community. And very importantly, one of the things that we are proposing is a pilot of technical review for proposals, for governance budget proposals for the 2027 cycle. And we've seen the absence of that was felt by a number of the DREPs this year. So we're working with, I've been discussing this with ISC members, Intersect Steering Committee members, and other members, and there's definitely a feeling that we need to provide that advice and support. So we would definitely encourage DREPs and the community to get behind this and help us to deliver that, because it is a huge amount of work that needs to be done. Give good advice. And Claude is not good enough in this respect. Great. It's great for finding security vulnerabilities, right, Mike? Anyway, moving on. Also like to draw attention to...
Too soon.
You have to, Jay. So moving on, I'm also aware, go back to the budget status, Bosco. The Daedalus team have also submitted a budget proposal on chain. They were unsuccessful in the Intersect process, I believe, so they submitted this privately by themselves. But given all the concerns about wallets that we've been seeing, a publicly funded, publicly supported full node wallet would appear to provide additional reassurance to the community. So I think it's something we can, some of the members at least, can get behind, and we should be promoting.
Can I just say, I think it's an essential counterbalance to the activities, and it does offer, I think it offers a security that we are now seeing that has been called into question over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and in particular, it's an open source effort, it's a community effort that deserves support. So I'm calling attention to that one particularly. On the 27 budget process, this is already being discussed by the budget committee, by other people within Intersect. Again, discussion at the Intersect Steering Committee meeting that included the board on Monday. Our proposal seems to be to bring forward the planning process so we don't get the situation where the Intersect discussion process is basically outrun by people submitting proposals on chain. That there's an opportunity to have a discussion about the budget up front, and also an opportunity to have a discussion about the priorities up front before proposals start to be submitted on chain in the 2027 process. I'm aware that the NCL is supposed to run for 18 months, so that no doubt is going to factor into the discussion process, but I don't see it practically holding that long. And what we do need is a structured process for 27. So
you said too many things I want to respond to at once. Now I don't know what to say.
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
First of all, I 100% agree for the Daedalus proposal. We need to get that out there. I was shocked to see any, resistance to that first proposal. I think it's the best security we have. So, I would happily support that. But for the budget and the NCL, like it really feels like people are just going to put out a new NCL. Like there's no way that this NCL lasts 18 months when we're already about to tap it out. So like it's laughable to even think that that's going to be the case. So, in the next 6 months, I'm expecting there to be a different NCL, because my understanding is that you just put out a new one, you vote on it, and it gets replaced, period. And that's the crux of it.
Yeah, then Intersect needs to get ahead of that process if it's going to have a role in helping shape the budget, Alonso. Otherwise, it's just creating a bit of theatre.
Yeah.
I mean, because basically the instant that NCL becomes valid, people will submit proposals, right? The difficulty is that there is no what we have seen is front running. It gets you the numbers, gets you the values, right? So ignoring Intersect was actually the best option for those people to get the money, right? And actually the things that should have succeeded failed, and counter may have occurred as well. So this is a general problem of how the community manages itself. I mean, the way the community could manage this is if people front run, they just vote no.
Then the DREPs have to be disciplined.
Yeah, so the DREPs basically have to call the bluff on people. So if you pay me up or else, right? They could say pay me up, go through the process, but that requires that to happen, right? They got to stand up to any on-chain bullying effectively.
Yeah, what I would say is there's a real risk of the Intersect process becoming completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And it's not been helped, of course, by the change to the Constitution that removed the budget info action. That at least created a bit of a check and a bit of time for people to pause, and didn't create the immediate rush to funding. So I understand why it was removed, but it's created some issues as well. So maybe they'll.
I mean, I think what we're saying here is it's in the hands of the DREPs to create the control mechanisms here, but they and actually, if they don't create the control mechanism, the whole thing goes out of hand and spirals out of control. It's in their hands. That's their choice too. Another way, I'm being very sort of upfront about this. It's in their hands, right? And they should.
Well, the DREPs have to live by the consequences of their decisions.
Exactly right.
Very, 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 very much so. They can't create the situation and then complain about it.
Oh, they certainly can, and they certainly will.
I don't think what I'm saying is they can do that, but they just won't be justified. They have no moral grounds to.
Correct. Correct. Right? Yeah, I agreed. It's just this is a bit of a mess, right? Like I have trouble thinking of how to rectify this situation. I'm at a loss of ideas here. It feels like the momentum is towards people going direct to Treasury and DREP settling everything.
In mutually inconsistent ways that put the whole operation of the system at risk.
Right? Well said, Neil. Well said. Yeah, I'm aware, totally aware. It's a sad situation, unfortunately.
Yeah. So there are movements that are trying to assist with that to prevent a descent into chaos. Not sure how effective they're going to be, but I think we can agree that the situation as it is undesirable.
And there are some interesting papers about the nature of management from 20, 30 years ago and things. We are engaging in what's currently being engaged in is a guaranteed chaotic outcome. Right there. That's the point. I'm just saying it really is. It's probably not going to work. You have to change patterns.
Yeah. And to respond to the DREPs can do what they want. Point by text. This isn't quite true. They have to abide by the provisions of the Constitution, or the Constitutional Committee will prevent that. So anything which is being proposed to be effective has to be written into the constitution, I would say. So if you want a strong process, you need the constitutional guardrails, and it's unfortunate that one of the guardrails was reduced in the last cycle. Great. Okay. So moving on, Kristen, item for you, intersect repository maturity.
Yeah, a quick tool I thought would be worthwhile highlighting here. If you click that link, Bosco, this is based on, it's AI native too, so it can plug in, it can scan an entire organization's repositories all at once. It scans it based on several institution best practices with CHAOSS, which measures like community health maturity, security standards across the board, and then other things. I think the only thing that's kind of like not so important is the inclusivity piece of it, but I do think it's a tool that if you scroll down to the README section, Bosco, it'll kind of show stuff. But I thought this would be a cool thing that we could plug into some of our initiatives if we're tracking improvement and stuff. But yeah, this is the most sophisticated health scanner I've come across so far. Anyway, I don't want to waste too much time on it.
Great. Thank you, Christian. Shall we move on to the next item? It's one from Neil and Martin.
Well, Neil has. I've not seen any response yet. Does anybody know if the response, any response forthcoming?
Yeah. So let me summarize the situation. So Neil produced a mind map that outlined some possible concerns about, some concerns about possible issues with linear layoffs. I, as agreed, summarise those and pass them on to the IO team. My understanding is they've been seen by technical team members, IO technical team members. Now, we haven't had a response to those concerns. What I propose we do is to chase up. I think just a simple summary on their point, they don't need to go into all the detail, would be fine. And what I would then suggest is we hold a session, a discussion session with representatives from the technical teams to go through the issues. Does that work, Neil?
I want a formal written response, please, right, at some point. And the reason I want a written response, okay, is I want to have an audit trail for the future.
Okay, I'm just trying to avoid creating too much.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind. The thing about the problem about the point. Okay, the point is we're in a situation at the moment where the lack of process, lack of auditing, has created us an issue which we're now trying to get out of. There will then, post this issue, there's going to be what did people do wrong, and this becomes an issue of how you show that you actually engage in the process. We need them to engage in the. If we are going to be seen to have done our duty properly, we need a formal. We need something written back by them at some point, because if things go wrong, we want to show that we did appropriate due diligence.
Okay.
A meeting is not sufficient, is all I'm saying. It may be necessary, but it's not sufficient.
Yeah, what I was proposing is rather than having a fully detailed response initially that they provide us with a summary, that forms the basis for discussion.
That's perfectly acceptable, but right, I'm just saying it's this issue that there's a history here of resolving issues by, oh yeah, it's not a problem, right, and then they become issues later in life. Hello, little Christian, and basically, I'm just saying we need to get out of that. It's very much a. I know it's a bit of a pain, but we need to be a bit more formal. I hate it myself. I hate, you know me, I hate it. But when things go wrong, you need the paperwork.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to move it forward as quickly as possible. I understand where you're coming from now. Great.
Is Neil saying that you don't want to have a meeting until there's a written response, or we can have the meeting, but a written response must be produced?
My response here, right, is I want them in writing to say, at least in outline, what their conversation would be, and then we can basically challenge that. Okay, because the point is, this is my third attempt to get this review done properly, and basically I write things, they verbally say, "Oh, that's not a problem," and then nothing happens. Okay, and so my difficulty here is the vendor's not helping us generate the evidence that the community should trust. I mean, if I was looking at this from the outside world in as the community member, I would be concerned that we are not going through such a process of holding their feet appropriately to the fire. Okay, that's my concern. Is that we'll end up in a position that's worse. Now, it doesn't mean that I want to burn them or brand them at this process, but they do need to give. They can't just say, "Oh, let's have a chat about it." They have to give some response about what they've done, why they disagree, what they're doing to investigate if they can't agree or disagree. That needs to be written to us. Then we can have a discussion.
Yeah, but I would see that at this stage as being in the form of a short summary rather than a.
That's correct, but it has to be. But their commitment must be to a formal summary at the end that we sign off or not. Okay. I'm just saying, you know, there's this is, I don't know how many millions of the community's money we're doing here. We need to be treated seriously.
Yeah, it's multiple millions of community funding and a lot of ADA given the token price.
Yes.
So it's a significant proportion of the treasury funding, and will quite possibly become more in time. Yeah. Okay. So there's going to need to be some constitutional changes. We touched on this. So there will need to be changes to the constitution to account for the new parameters, for example, and possibly some other changes too. What we would propose is these follow the new constitutional amendment process that the Civics Committee is putting in place over the summer, and we can engage with that. Civics Committee is going to contact us about that. Martin.
Going back to the Laos thing. So while the IOG is working on a response, there's some confusion or a question. Who's actually the contact person for the team for the TSC? And I think that landed to like Bosco was asked today on this. So please please reply. And
yes, I'm happy for the contact point. If for official communication, it can be Bosco because Bosco is the secretary. It can also be me. I will pass on any information to the TSC.
I think the formal response should be it's the secretary of the TSC. Failing that, the chair or the vice chair. That's the formal response. Okay, I would suggest.
And the chair and vice chair will make sure that it's brought to the attention of the floor.
Yeah, because basically those are the three officers in quotes of the thing that have the responsibility to make sure the TSC is informed. Okay, this is from the TSC.
Great, but you can confirm, Martin, that the IO team has seen this, right? So the
it came late. Like there were some, I don't know, but yeah, people saw it. So yes, and it's been treated seriously.
Great, and it's being reviewed by the technical people, not just by product.
Yes, sure.
Great. Okay, it's good. So it's being treated seriously, Neil. Martin is reassuring us that is taking it seriously. They're working out how to provide the response.
That's an excellent first step. We look forward to the rest of the process. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Martin. Got a couple of final agenda points. Technical testnet purposes. I placed on the agenda. I held it over. I don't think Ryan Williams is present. We had an outline discussion last week. What I suggest we do with this Bosco is we invite Ryan to present to us, and then we can take a decision on it. And
Okay.
but otherwise, we're just interpreting things second hand. So we had a good discussion last week, but without Ryan giving us the text and the background, we're just guessing as to what the point is. We can't
Okay,
make a recommendation.
we will invite Ryan next week.
Yeah, so we're
Or even async to start at least to figure out what needs to be the next step there.
yeah, but I think it'd be great if Ryan did the presentation, because then we've got a record of that and we know exactly what the issues are.
Agreed.
Great. Only other item on the agenda, unless anyone has anything to add, intersect planning and reporting. As we said at the start of the meeting, Christian and I presented with Texas support the Q2, Q3 status and plans. So thank you to Christian and Tex for helping me put that together. This is presented. Any input that people provided was taken into account in that. There is a session tomorrow with the community. There's a town, so it's not a town hall, virtual hub meeting with the community where we will get to go through the presentation again, and we'll get the chance to meet up with community members. Please do feel free to attend that. Bosco, could you share or Tex, could you share the details of the meeting, please? So it's in my diary. I will definitely go.
So the Intersect Insights or Intersect Connect is explicitly on YouTube unless a specific committee member was invited as a contributor. So there's no definitive link to share other than I'll share the broadcast link, but it's
Great.
on YouTube on the Intersect account.
Great. So anyone can join that and then participate, Tex? Yes,
and then that will forward through to the Intersect members area for the Intersect Connect section.
Great. So I suggest we broadcast this to the TSC members, of course, so they can attend and participate. But I think we should also communicate this to the community as a way of engaging with TSC members and as part of the promotion of the TSC proposal. We're doing good work. We should promote it to the community and also answer any questions they might have. Saw a hand go up. Great. If you could share those details with us, Tex, and we will make sure they get communicated to anyone who's not a TSC member. Thank you. Any other business that anyone would like to raise? Any matters arising? I'm taking silence as a no. So thank you everyone for participating in the meeting and look forward to talking to you again very shortly. Yeah, let's have a short break. Let's take a short break. Start on the hour. I'll see you there. See you all there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.